Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to this video titled The Number Line. Now this is part 2 of lesson 2.1 for our math lesson. And the goal for today is to interpret and write statements of inequality for two given positive numbers using the symbols greater than and also less than. So you'll need to get out your math journal, pencil, and also your math book and turn to page 45. Where you can see where this lesson begins. And you can see the objective for today, so make sure you write that down in your book. Now let's take a look at page 47, and we're going to take a look at number 5 on page 47. So what we're going to be doing is comparing each pair of number using the greater than or less than symbol. And you can even use a number line to help you out if you would like. So think about the key idea behind a number line. The farther to the left you go, the less a number is. The farther to the right, the greater value it has. So whenever you're comparing these types of problems, just remember that the alligator's mouth, so to speak, is always open towards the larger number. So we know that 23 is less than 45, like that. Now that's a little sloppy there, but you get the idea. So 23 is less than 45. 318 compared to 183, we know that 318 is greater than 183. So we'll make that alligator's mouth open up towards the 318, just like that. Now you can see if we're taking a look at the next numbers here, 9,909 we can see is less than 9,990. So not too difficult when we're dealing with just whole numbers. Now what we're going to do is take a look at comparing fractions together, and that's maybe a little bit trickier, but not too difficult. Now let's go all the way over to page 52. We're going to look at number 2 on page 52. And what we're going to be doing now is comparing fractions with each other. Now, fractions can be a little bit difficult here, okay? But here's the thing, if you can compare whole numbers, you can also compare fractions or decimals. So what I like to do is I like to change the fractions both to decimals. So what I'll do on my calculator is I'm going to type in 3 divided by 8. And I can see 3 divided by 8 is going to give me 0 and 375 thousandths. So that stands for 3/8. And then 3/4, let's do 3 divided by 4 on your calculator. And that's going to give you 75 hundredths. Okay? So now whenever you're comparing decimals, do not get tricked by too many digits to the right, because that does not really affect the value. What I like to do is I just like to insert a 0 at the end. So now I'm comparing the same amount of digits. Okay, and then just even ignore your decimal. And I know right away that 750 is greater than 375. Therefore, 750 thousandths is greater than 375 thousandths. So what you need to do is figure out which decimal represents which fraction. So I know I can see 3/4 is represented by 750 thousandths. So therefore 3/4 is the greater number. Let's take a look at number 3. Same idea. Now we're taking a look at mixed numbers. So 3 and 9/10. So what we can do is we're going to take that 3 and 9/10, and we take that 9 divided by 10. It's going to give me 0.9, but since it's a mixed number, it's going to be 3.9 there. 3 and 4/5. When we take that 4 and divide it by 5, that's going to give me 8/10. So that's going to be 3 and 8/10 there. Okay, so now we can see 3 and 9/10 compared to 3 and 8/10 is much easier than comparing 3 and 9/10 to 3 and 4/5. So I can see that my 3 and 9/10 is greater. So that alligator's mouth is open to the 3 and 9/10. Now decimal to decimal, not too difficult here. We have 2 and 1700ths compared to 2 and 7100ths. So we can see the 2's are equal. Start at the 1's place. Those are equal. So now we go to the 10th place. So that's a 1 and that's a 7. We know 7 is greater than 1. So 2 and 71 hundredths would be greater than 2 and 17 hundredths. Let's take a look at number 6. We have 3/4. We're going to change that to a decimal. 3/4 as a decimal is 75 hundredths. 7/10 we don't need to change to a decimal, but what I like to do is I just like to compare it like this. Put that 7 under the 75 hundredths there, and add my 0 there at the bottom. Now I can see that 3/4 is greater than 7/10. You can make that a little bit clearer there. So that's how you compare decimals with fractions, fractions with fractions, and also whole numbers and even mixed numbers together. One of the key things you want to do is make everything into a decimal. Use your calculator for that, and you can easily compare the inequalities. So this continues the video on the number line, part 2. If you have any questions about this concept, please come and see me.